Good day, everyone. I hope you're having an amazing day. So today we will be talking about platform event. So before we jump into platform event, I would like to explain to you guys regarding the concept of event-driven software architecture. So event-driven software architecture, think about something like a publisher-subscriber model. When you publish something and then subscribers subscribe to it. Let me give you an example, like a newspaper, right? So, or in good old days, you remember that we used to subscribe to newspapers, right? So let's say XY Z news agency, right? They publish the newspapers, and then different users subscribe to the newspaper, so which get delivered to your doorstep, right? Today we have newsletters and other kind of stuff, right? So similar concept. If you take that concept and apply into Salesforce, we have event-driven software architecture. So what happens is, let me give you a very classic example. Like if you're someone who's doing integration, right? So let's say you're integrating to 3 different systems, right? So usually say system A, system B, system C, right? Just to not to name any specific system out there in the market. So I will name it as A, B, C, right? And so when you integrate using REST API or web services, right? You normally do a one-to-one integration, right? Your Salesforce integrate with with the system A, and your Salesforce integrates with system B, and your Salesforce interface with system C. Now imagine that A, B, and C have a common data, right? Let's say you are importing contacts, right? A different kind of contacts from A, B, and C systems, right? One supports payroll, one supports other thing, one supports whatnot, right? So the data is somewhat similar, but different variations, right? So now what happened is your system is very tightly coupled, right? You integrate your Salesforce org to system A, so it's very tightly coupled. You use the API to or web service to pull the data, and then you integrate with the system B, so use APIs to pull the data. So you need to poll, right? If you're polling something, right, you probably need to create a scheduled task and you need to poll the data, right? Now imagine that if you have something where you don't where we have a middle layer, a kind of like a message channel, we can say, right, where different system like system A, B, C, they can publish the data, and then the data get passed into the channel and stays in the channel, and who are subscribed to the channel, right, they can pull the data according to their, whenever the data get published, right? So let me show you. So I'm using Trailhead because I don't want to create a slide because it's already there in Trailhead, so it makes my life a bit easier. So something like this, right? We call event bus. So you have producer and we have a consumer, right? It's like a producer or subscriber, consumer model as well. Publisher subscriber model. So similarly, we have producer consumer. It's pretty much the same concept. So events, right? So you can create a platform event. In Salesforce, they are a little bit different to creating a custom object, but the interface wise, you will think, oh, it's look and feel point of view is pretty much similar, but there are differences to it. Like for instance, if you're creating a custom object, right, you have to, it usually gets the underscore C next to it. In this case, it would be underscore E, right? So that's for events, right? So that's the difference. And another thing is that we have something called replay IDs in terms of platform events. So what happens is, let's say producer or publisher, right, publish the data, and for whatever reason that the consumer went offline or whatever happened, right? So consumer for some reason failed to get the data from the bus, so they can use the replay ID to so replay ID comes in the picture. So you can replay the message that's been published so that the consumer can consume it, right? I hope that's clear. So event bus, you need to understand one thing. When you talk about events, right, the messages that comes and sits in the event bus, right? They are similar to the records what we have in custom object, right? For instance, account, right, or standard object for that matter. Accounts are S objects, and even the events, right? They're associated with the S object, but there's a difference, right? So the first thing first, standard object, custom object, right? We have records, accounts have a records, right? Account one, account two, account three, right? And the custom objects, like we created porter beer custom objects. They have the data, like record one, record two, record three, right? The beer sold and whatnot, right? Similarly, when you talk about platform events, right? You got event which is associated with the records, but the difference is you can't query these events using Socal or Social, and you can't update it or you can't delete it, right? In case of standard or custom object, you can delete the records, right? So the triggers are different as well. So you can even create a trigger for platform events, but you can't do anything called update or update or delete kind of stuff on that, right? We will do hands-on, and I wanted to demonstrate how to do a platform event, because without hands-on, right, it doesn't make sense just to demonstrate only theory. Theory is fine. So what we're gonna do, so we're gonna use our custom objects. So enough of theory. So I hope this is clear for you guys. It is an event-driven software architecture. This is how it works. So the producer and consumer, and we have the event bus, right? Okay, or you can call it as a message bus or whatever, right? Okay, so the first thing first, you need to log into your org. As usual, you need to log into your free developer account or sandbox, right? Please do not try that in your production org or customer sandbox org if you are doing this for the learning purpose. I will highly encourage you to log into your free developer account, right? That's great. Okay. So as usual, when you log in, you will be, you will see the screen, which is the setup screen. Or for some reason, if you can, then you can go to this Gearcog icon and click here, and it take you to setup, right? The same page. You might see some difference, but it's pretty much the same. Okay, so let's go to Object Manager. So we got to, so I'm gonna give you a business scenario so that we can build our platform event on top of it. So we got something called beer sold. Sorry. So we got beer sold and we got beer logged. So we're gonna use this as a okay. So what we're gonna do? So we will publish the data when the beer sold object get created, and then on the consumption stage, a data get created here. Okay, I'll explain to you in a better way. So let's jump into the UI part of it so that it's clear. Beer sold. It just take a while to load it. I know this concept can be a bit wacky. It can be difficult for people to understand, but stay with me. I try to explain in a very simple way so that you get what I'm trying to say. So go to new. So you got a strong beer, or you can choose whatever you want. So don't worry about the UI and objects here. So so pay attention to okay. So we will be using this beer type field, and we will be using an amount field, which is a calculator field. So you won't see it right here because it's a formula field. So when you have a formula field, right, so you can't actually do anything to it. It's a read only. So let's create something called, say, test, right? And beer type I will put as porter. An account you can associate with any account. And favorite beer, I just put XYZ. I just don't want to get into details of the beer stuff here today. Quantity, just put 10, right? So what happens is, under current scenario, when you click save, right? So it creates a record, but that's fine. But what I want is that when I create a record, it should write an associated entry to the beer log, which is like an audit log, right? So which says that the porter beer has been sold for this much dollars, right? So there is a field under beer log. Let me show you. Called logs, right? So I wanted the entry to be written here. Now you might wonder, right? You can write a trigger for that. Yeah, of course you can write a trigger for that. You can write an after insert trigger on a beer sold object, right? But that's not what we're trying to do today. We're trying to I wanted to mimic a producer and a consumer based platform event so that you understand how the concept works. So what we're gonna do, the first thing first, we're gonna create a platform event, and then we're gonna create two fields. So I need two fields. One is the if you go here to this one, I need a beer type, and I would need this one, amount sold, right? So we will be creating two fields on a platform event, and then what happens is when you create this data, right? It publishes the event to it publishes a platform event saying that, look, an event has been generated, right? Now I'm going to put that into just assume that if you go here, right? So let's say the event producer, right? Forget about these two and these two, just one to one, right? Just for now. Beer log, sorry, test. So when I click on save, right? As you've seen that the data get generated, which is great. So it will push information to here, right? And so I will be creating a trigger on platform event to pull the data, right? What we put in the bus, and then create a beer log entry, right? So it's gonna act as a subscriber, and the publish will act as a a publisher, right? So it will get clear when I'll do hands-on right now. So just stay with me. I know it's a bit overwhelming concept, but I promise you that it will become more clear as we do hands-on, right? Okay, so the first thing first, we're gonna jump into setup, and we go type platform. It's gonna take a while. Platform events, we go here. Right, as you can see, I got none here, so I'm gonna create new, and I will just put pub sub event. Means publisher subscriber event, right? Just and just put it here, plural labels. Just annoys me sometimes, but okay. Right, okay. So event type. Before winter 19, right, they used to have something called low volume, standard volume, and then now they have high volume, so which is the default. So you can read here, before winter 19, events that define are high volumes and delivery of millions of events. If you have millions of events, right, getting delivered to the hub, so it's preferred to use high volumes, but now it's high volume. So publisher behavior, right? So there are two kinds to it, which publish and which publish after commit. So this is where the transaction and a rollover happens. So for whatever reason, right, if this save fails, it will not publish anything, right? So it will take care of it. So it's better to do in a transaction, because then you can have peace of mind thinking that it will not publish something when it's not supposed to publish, right? So this is a better option. I mean, but again, it's case by case, right? Don't take my word for it. Go and read the documentation, so you will understand, right? Even you can read it here. So I mean, I prefer to use publish after commit, because at least I know my transactions are going in the transactions, right? So if something happens, it can roll back, right? So okay, so keep this option as such, and deployment status. So now save. And this is what I was talking about before. It's annotate with it just underscore e, so public sub event. So in case of custom object, it will be C, right? Okay, so now we have, these are the standard fields, like as usual for every custom fields or standard fields. Now you can create a custom fields. So there are some limitation on the custom fields. You don't have every fields available. You don't have, I'll show you what I mean by that. Let's create two fields, account. Usually when you, amount and type, right? So when you talk about amount, when you try to create an amount field, right, it's usually currency field, right? Decimal field. So it's easy to do that in a custom field because you'll find that data type there. But in this case, you won't find anything called currency here. See, let's go here. See, it's very limited. So you have checkbox, you have date, you have date time, you have numbers, you have text, you have text long area. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna use text for amount. That's fine. We can convert decimal to string later. So we're gonna do, call this an amount, and length is gonna put 20. Just gonna save it, and then we're gonna have then we're gonna have new. So we're gonna do type, and gonna do next. Just gonna do type. We're gonna do 20, and it's gonna save. Right, that's great. So now we got two custom fields. Now it's time to write a trigger, right? So what we're gonna do, we're gonna go to developer console because I wanted to write in developer console. I do not like to write in a quickly small window here. So we're gonna jump into dev console. So we're gonna write trigger on this object beer sold. So after insert trigger, when the after insert happens, I'm gonna push the data to platform to this object, event object, right? I'll demonstrate what I mean by that. So let's go here, and we're gonna go dev console. If it's I don't know if you find something here, it's I don't know. Okay, so we don't need any of the stuff here. Oh, come on. Sometimes it's very slow. Great. Okay. I delete it. I don't care about any of this stuff. I delete all of this stuff, right? Okay. Go to file and go to new and just gonna create a trigger. Right. So we're gonna create a trigger name as after insert beer sold. Right, S object. So don't worry about these S objects because as I mentioned in my previous lecture as well, that I have Conga installed. So when that's why it is showing a lot of Conga classes. Sorry, Conga objects, I mean. Okay, so let's look for the beer sold. So this is a custom object. So we're gonna choose this, and we're gonna do submit. Okay. Now what we're gonna do, so we're gonna write so we are number one step. What we're gonna do, we are going to create a loop through beer sold and insert into platform event object. For time being, right, what we're gonna do, we're gonna assume that there is only one data, right? So because we're not doing any mass insert for now, I just wanted to demonstrate the concept. So right, so we're gonna write the code here. So as usual, I just wanted to do everything in the try catch. So exception ex, right? Okay, system.debug ex.get message. Right, now I'm gonna write a trigger here. So usually it's not a good practice to write your business logic here. It's better to do in a separate class. So let's do a separate class. So what we're gonna do, so we will need a new, and we're just gonna write a Apex class here, and this is what I'm gonna say after insert event beer sold PT event. Sorry, P event, right? Is platform event, right? Okay. And now I'm just gonna write a class here, public static void after insert push, right? Okay, now we're gonna need the list of what we're gonna after beer sold, right? And that's pretty much it here, and that's gonna do here. Okay, let's see if we can save it. All right. What the heck it is? Oh, sorry. Okay, beer. So, right. Okay, sounds good. Right, now we're gonna take this and put it here. Dot. For insert push, and it's gonna put trigger dot new. Okay, that should be good. All right, so we don't have to worry about this class now, so let's jump into here. Okay, so what we're gonna do first thing, we need this platform event object, so we're gonna take it and right, so we're gonna do list of platform event object, so pt pe equals to new sorry, list of. Okay, now we're just gonna get 4. Okay, beer sold. We're just gonna loop through this boy here. B, right, okay. Right, now we're gonna create a new event here, public events, that is the p equals to new. Right, you know what, I'm just gonna put p list. Right, that's great. Okay, now let's maximize the screen here. So we want this field, right? Amount something. Okay. So this is we need. So we're gonna need string dot as value of decimal, right? Because this is a. Right, I'll tell you what I'm trying to do. Okay, don't worry about it. Just a second. I'll explain to you what I'm trying to do. Amount. See. Just give me a second. I'll explain to you. P dot. What we got here? Type. Okay, equals to P B dot. Be a type. Okay. Right. Okay. Let's check. Just a second. And pay dot p add just a p. Right. Right. I haven't finished it yet. Well, let's see if it works. And if it's not, then we'll figure out why it's not working. Okay, let's see why it's not working. Okay, there's something wrong here, which is sorry, my bad. Sorry, it's just been a long day. Just been out whole day. It's just Saturday, just went for a run. It's been tiring, so okay, all right. So all right, so I'll explain to you what I've done until so far. Then we still need to write more code. So what I've done, right? I've created a list of platform event, right? This one. So this object will be created now, right? And then this is what we're getting from this trigger, right? So trigger.new will give you the new values. Trigger.old will give you the old values. If you haven't watched my previous videos about Apex Trigger, please go and check it out. I've covered in detail about new and old. Okay, cool. All right, so we are actually looping through the spear sold, just the 4 loops. And then I'm creating a platform event, individual event object, right? And then I'm assigning an account, sorry, not account. Sorry, that's correct. Amount sold to this amount, this one, right? And then type to the beer type. Remember, I've selected porter or stout, the type, so that's one of them. And then I've added to the list as usual. You know how the collection works, right? So okay, now there is something called events dot publish. Okay, event bus dot publish. Sorry, publish. Right, and we're gonna add this. Alright, just explain to you what I'm gonna do. Database dot save result re equals to, okay, if re dot is success, I'm gonna do system debug, right? re, oh sorry, event activated, right? Else. You can name whatever you want. I mean, it's just okay. All right. So I'll just try to, not trying to be clever here, but just trying to be sorry. Yes, right. Okay. And I'll explain to you what I'm trying to do. Right. Just bear with me. Sometimes I just find it a bit hard to explain when I'm writing the code, but I'll just explain to you in a second. Okay, catch. Always write your error handling, always, right? Don't assume things. One of the qualities of a good programmer, never assume anything. It can go wrong no matter how genius you are. It can still hit the fan. So, you know what I'm trying to say, so. Okay, so let me save it, then I explain to you. Right, so what I've done here, so if you remember that I have explained to you that we have added stuff to collection, right? Now, adding to collection is just not good enough. We need to publish that information, right? So it is a publisher. It is acting as a publisher, right? You are telling, right, this is the data I'm going to publish. So you published it. So this is what it's doing. And so this is like database.save results. So this is, it returns an error if there is it returns a result set, right? And I'm looping through the result set to see if it's successful, then even activate, otherwise it's failed. So that's pretty straightforward, right? There's nothing fancy about it. Okay. So, so this one will do the stuff for you. See, the reason why I told you in my previous lectures that never to write a business logic inside the trigger, because it will be hard to test it, right? You need to write your test case, which we'll be covering in the latest stage, probably when we reach to the testing part of this course. So you will find that if you imagine if you write this piece of a code here, then the testing is a nightmare, right? And because it's better to have a different class that point to it, right? So that's it's easy to debug and easy to troubleshoot if something goes wrong, right? Okay, so we created a publisher here. Now we need to create a subscriber. So subscriber we're gonna create on this on this object, event object. So we're gonna write a trigger for that as well. So we're gonna do Apex trigger. Great, right? So we will find it. It's gonna be here somewhere, right? All right. Sorry, I think I moved faster. We just it's just called what, pub event, right? Pub event, right? Must be there somewhere. Okay, that's great. So after insert pub sub e, right. So as I mentioned to you earlier, you can't do update or delete because there's a platform event. So what we're gonna do, so as usual, so we're gonna create a new class here because I don't want to write the business logic here, but we can always do the try catch, right? Which is fantastic. I just do because this tells you that you are serious about error handling. Because if I see a code, right, in my code review, do not have any error handling, then I won't be pretty happy with that because then you're assuming that, oh yeah, your code never fails, which is not the case. I mean, I've been programming for almost 15 years, so I've seen stuff. So yeah, based on experience. So right, okay, cool. All right, so let's create a new class here, which is called pub sub event class. Right, you can give whatever name you want, but please give meaningful names. So for demo purpose, please don't worry about the name convention. So okay, so we're gonna do what are we gonna do? We're gonna write public static void pub sub event consume, right? So we're gonna do what, list of something, right? Okay, list of this boy here. Let's see, PE list, right? Okay, so as usual, we're gonna take this here and copy here. And similar to concept what we've done before, right? So you know what I'm doing now. So we're gonna do trigger dot new, right? Let's save it. And we will, okay, so this part is done, so we don't have to worry about it. So if you want to worry about indentation, so you can do shift tab. And okay, so we're gonna go here. So what we're gonna do, so we're gonna do for sorry man. So public event p a list. So we are getting a list. It's always good to write a code thinking you'll be getting more than one record, right? It's a very, very, very bad practice to assume that we're gonna get only one record because you might have data migration, then then your code will break. 100% sure it will break if you're relying on an assumption that it will only work with one record, right, instead of collection. So I've covered that all in my previous lectures on Apex Trigger. So if you are not sure about it, please, I would encourage you to please go and check it out, right? All right, so what we're gonna do, so we're gonna have to create this beer log object, right? So let's go to beer log. Okay, so let's go here and let's go to setup, and we're gonna go to beer log because I need the name of that object. So So this is what we are after, and so not the field for now. So beer log, and we're gonna do list of beer logs, and we see BLG equal to BLG list equals to new list of right. Okay, so that's there. Now let's loop through this. So this, as usual, you know that platform event contains this platform event object contains two custom fields, right? So we got p dot amount. Okay, so what we're gonna do, we're gonna do let's create this one, this one, blg. So b this one new. Okay, and we're gonna do so b. So we wanted to populate into log c equals to beer type, right, plus we wanted to get the type here, plus type, right, plus sold for, okay, p dot, what is that, amount, okay. Now, and we're gonna do blg dot add, we're gonna do b, and then we're gonna do, you can do database dot insert as well, but just for timing, I just don't want to worry about that one. Right, okay. And as usual, we're gonna do try and catch the stuff, just do in case it fails apart, fell apart for whatever reason. You know, you always have to assume that your code will fail, so you need to write your code according to that and keep into consideration all the error handling stuff. And this is the least you can do, right? You know, the least try catch. You can be creative and you can write your own custom exception and, you know, do whatever you want to do with that. Okay, so let's do this one and save it. I'll explain to you what I'm trying to do here. Okay, so what I've done, right? So this is so after insert, right? After you publish it, right? So you remember that we published it here, and this will publish it and put the data into message bus, and this is acting as a consumer. So it we're gonna actually poll. So the way it polls, it actually look into this event, this object here. So you can put 50, you know, records here, so that's fine. And so we are assuming that we're gonna get the list of you know, the p sub event e, and that's why I'm looping through it. So but our business requirement is that let's say you create a 10 beer sold entry, so it should create a 10 associated entry in beer log. So that's exactly what I'm doing. So it has published that two information, that is amount and somewhere here, and the type. So, and we are fetching that information here and then adding to the list and then inserting it. That's pretty much, it's all it is. Straightforward, right? Okay, so let's go to platform event. So as you can see here, I'm going to refresh it now. So we got no information here, right? No subscriber, no triggers. So let's refresh it again. So you will see the difference here. Right. So you see, we got a trigger here and we got a subscription here. So right. Okay. So now what we're gonna do? We're gonna go to beer sold, and we're gonna do create new. Okay. You know what we're gonna do? Just refresh this boy, just in case. Right. Okay. So we're gonna do new and just choose dummy data, right? And beer type, let's choose stout for a change. Accounts, this one is fine. Favorite beer, I don't care for now. Prospect, doesn't matter. 10. Right, okay. So now, what should you think should happen behind the scene, right? I mean, the platform events, there is no graphical user interface, right? You can't see anything. It's happened behind the scenes, right? So because that's what events, right? You can't see, oh, yay, I'm in events, it's happening on the screen. No, it doesn't happen. It just happens behind the scene. So the way you can do that, you can enable the logs. You can go to debug logs and enables it, and then you can view the logs to see what's going on, right? If for some reason things are not working out. Okay, let's go to beer log, and let's see if it's created. There you go. Beer type stout sold for $80, right? So there's yeah, it should have been this one. Okay. Now let's see if it reflects the change. Let's do again. Beer sold. Okay, new, one more, strong beer. I'm gonna choose porter, dummy. Okay, and beer type, it's gonna be porter. Search this and blah blah blah. Don't care. Prospect, and just put 5. Save. Okay. Beer log. We'll see. So let's use this BA2. I don't want the BA2. It should be 2 here, right? Okay, this is the one. Right? See? So that's exactly what I was trying to say. The consumer and the publisher model, right? So this is how you can do that. This is one way you can do that. You can even use APIs to do that. And remember one thing, the API caller, right? It limit and all kind of stuff. It exactly works the same like it works for regular triggers. So keep this into consideration and play around with it. So there is a documentation here in Trailhead. I'll just put the link down. So it's very handy. It's very useful. I mean, I like the way the trailer team is put across this document. So you can go through it and do hands-on, and you can also use APIs to test it. So yeah, I mean, based on your business requirement, please check it out if this is something what you are after, right? And this could be a game changer probably for your firm, if you start using it. So it's again all depends upon the business context, right? So I don't want it to say, oh yeah, guys, you should use this for everyone. No, that's not what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say is that use it wherever you think it is required, right? Just read about it. If you have a solution architect in your company, do check it out. So they will advise you better. If you don't, if you have a senior developer, then you can go and check it out. Consult your senior person in the team to say what they think about this. For based on your business scenario, what are you trying to implement, right? So it's a team effort, right? So you need to consult people in your organization, technical team, of course. I mean, not the functional people, because functional team is not really the best for this kind of role. To advise whether you should be using the service bus or not. So it's more technical side, right? So but that being said, some functional guys knows in and out of this stuff. So right, so depending upon the expertise you have in your organization, right? Okay, right, so that's all I wanted to cover today. So I hope you guys find some value out of this session today. I know that it's a bit dry. My apologies for that, but I need to demonstrate, right, what we can do. So I try to give you the very simplest example so that not to overwhelm you. I could have done APIs as well, but that would be something else. I don't want to do APIs to confuse you guys. So yeah, I mean, I hope you like today's session. So so if you like my channel, I would encourage you to please subscribe, because I would bring a lot of new topics, and which will really gonna help you guys, right? So that being said, so I'm signing off today. So greetings from New Zealand. Adios.